It's funny how we think about energy sometimes. Like, if you have a highly tuned sports car
Right.
just sitting idle in your driveway, you wouldn't walk out there and just start continuously pumping premium jet fuel into the tank.
Right, yeah, if you did that, you'd just flood the engine entirely. I mean, you only fuel a machine for the exact miles it's about to drive.
Exactly.
Anything more than that is, well, it's not just a waste. It actively damages the system.
Which makes perfect sense for a car. Yet when it comes to the Belgian Malinois, which is, an absolute apex athlete of the dog world, that is exactly what thousands of well-meaning owners are doing every single day.
Oh, without a doubt. Every day.
So welcome to the deep dive. Today we are looking at this really fantastic transcript from the Vital Pet podcast, and it focuses entirely on canine nutrition and what they call the matching problem.
Yeah, the matching problem is such a great term for it.
Right. So whether you own a working breed or, maybe you're considering bringing one into your home, or even if you're just fascinated by the sheer biology of high-performance metabolisms, we are going to unpack why feeding an elite dog is really never just a matter of putting more food in the bowl.
It's a critical concept, honestly,
Yeah.
because the physiological reality of these animals completely defies how the average person intuitively thinks about food.
Right, because we tend to look at food as love, right? Or just a baseline requirement.
Exactly, but for a working animal, it is strict mechanical fuel, nothing more.
So let's get into the mechanics of that engine then. We really need to establish why a Malinois metabolism is fundamentally different from, say, a standard companion breed.
Yeah, you definitely can't just treat them like a golden retriever with a higher top speed.
Right, it's a completely different machine.
To understand the engine, you really have to look at the job the machine was built to do. Historically, this breed was designed for demanding herding tasks. And then they later transitioned into intense police and military work.
Which requires a very specific type of body.
Oh, completely. The job description requires immense endurance, followed by sudden, explosive bursts of extreme effort. And then, crucially, a need for incredibly fast recovery.
Okay.
So over generations, that specific set of requirements shaped a metabolism that processes and utilizes energy hyper-efficiently.
But there's a catch there,
A
right?
huge one. The key caveat is that it utilizes that energy efficiently when the dog is actively working.
And this is exactly where the source material points out a massive pitfall. They call it the identity trap.
The identity trap, yes, it happens
We
constantly.
get a Malinois and they confuse a high-energy personality with a high-caloric need.
Yes. An owner looks at their Malinois and they see a dog that is, mentally alert, highly reactive to its environment, and often just physically restless inside the house.
Like vibrating with intensity.
Exactly. They pace, they patrol the windows, they just seem incapable of turning off.
Right. And as the owner, you watch this dog essentially in constant motion all day long. They're running the fence line, aggressively tearing through puzzle toys, pacing the living room.
Yeah.
It's entirely logical to look at that and think, this animal is burning a massive amount of energy. I need to up their food intake so they don't just waste away.
It looks logical, but physiologically, it is entirely wrong.
Really?
Yes, because pacing a living room or anxiously patrolling a fence line is not conditioning. Nervous, alert energy does not equate to a significant caloric burn.
See, I have to push back on that a little bit because, the math doesn't entirely make sense to me there.
Okay, how so?
Well, if a dog is literally on its feet, pacing for 6 hours, their heart rate is elevated, right? Their muscles are firing, their brain is engaged. Biologically, movement is movement. Calories are being burned.
Sure, some calories.
So how big of a gap are we really talking about between pacing and actual work?
We are talking about a massive gap. And it really comes down to biomechanical efficiency and the type of stress the body is under.
Okay.
When a Malinois is pacing or acting hyper-alert in the house, they are often operating on a low-grade stress response. So adrenaline and cortisol.
Ah, I see.
Their heart rate might be slightly elevated from anxiety, but they are not heavily taxing their cardiovascular system. Furthermore, a dog's body is incredibly efficient at a trot or a walk.
Which is what they're doing when pacing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can maintain that low-level movement for hours while burning a fraction of the calories they would burn during, say, 30 minutes of intense, structured resistance or sprint work.
Wow, just 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Actual work forces deep muscular engagement and heavy cellular respiration. When an owner feeds based on that restless intensity, they're overfeeding.
Okay, so it's sort of like the difference between a human being super stressed out at work, pacing their cubicle, foot tapping, heart racing from a deadline,
Right, right.
versus someone who just went out and actually ran a half marathon.
That is a perfect analogy.
Like, the office worker might feel utterly exhausted at the end of the day, but they didn't actually empty their physical fuel tank.
Exactly. Mental exhaustion and nervous pacing do not deplete muscle glycogen.
Right.
So when you drop an extra cup of high-calorie working dog kibble into the bowl, just because the dog, seemed really energetic today, that fuel has nowhere to go. It just gets stored as fat.
Which raises an obvious question then. If owners are constantly making this miscalculation and overfeeding based on nervous energy, why aren't we seeing a massive population of visibly obese Malinois walking around?
That is the big question.
Like, how do owners not notice the dog getting fat?
Because the Malinois possesses a highly deceptive anatomy.
Deceptive how?
Well, by nature, they have a very lean, muscular, almost skeletal frame. They have these really deep chests and naturally tight waists.
So if they gain a few pounds, it just hides?
Essentially, yes.
I mean, I would think on a naturally lean frame, like a human track star, for example, extra fat would stand out immediately compared to a stockier build.
You would think so.
Yeah.
But it actually works the opposite way in these breeds.
Wait, really?
Yeah. If a stocky breed like a bulldog or a lab puts on 4 extra pounds, they immediately look rounder, their chest and stomach drop.
Right, it's super obvious.
But on a Malinois, because their base musculature is so dense and pronounced, those first few extra pounds of fat distribute thinly over the muscle.
Oh, wow.
It just smooths out their silhouette. They don't look fat, they just look slightly less defined.
So the owner looks at the dog, thinks they look perfectly healthy, and just keeps overfeeding.
Yes, exactly.
But wouldn't the scale catch this? Like, if you're weighing the dog regularly, a number is a number.
Well, the transcript specifically warns against relying solely on a digital scale for highly athletic breeds. It is actually quite dangerous.
Dangerous? Why? I mean, a scale doesn't lie about gravity.
True. A scale doesn't lie about total mass, but it is completely blind to body composition. A working dog can maintain a perfectly stable weight on a digital scale while quietly losing dense muscle mass and replacing it with lighter, higher volume fat tissue.
Oh, so the actual makeup of the weight is changing.
Exactly. It's called sarcopenia, the loss of muscle. And it can happen simultaneously with fat gain. So the number on the scale stays exactly at, say, 65 pounds, but the internal biological composition of the dog has severely degraded.
Man, that is exactly like human bodybuilders and the body mass index chart.
Yes.
You look at a BMI chart, and a professional bodybuilder with 5% body fat will be mathematically categorized as obese simply because muscle is incredibly dense and heavy.
Right. The scale gives you a number, but it completely fails to tell you what that number is made of.
Right.
Precisely. If you only track the number, you will miss the shift in composition entirely. And this is why the source material emphasizes the absolute necessity of tactile, hands-on body condition checks.
Okay, so you can't just look and you can't just weigh.
No, you have to physically touch the dog.
So walk us through the actual mechanics of that. If I am physically feeling for the dog's body condition, how do I differentiate between my dog is a lean, healthy athlete and I am accidentally starving my dog?
Great question. It comes down to 3 specific tactile checks.
Okay.
First, look from directly above the dog and feel for a distinct, defined waist that tucks inward right behind the ribcage.
Okay, an inward tuck.
Second, run your hands flatly along the sides of the ribcage. You should be able to feel the individual ribs with gentle pressure.
Gentle pressure being the key there.
Right. You should not have to dig your fingers through a squishy layer of fat to find the bone.
But the ribs shouldn't look like a xylophone from across the room either, right?
Correct. You feel them easily, but they aren't jutting out prominently through the skin.
Got it.
And the third check is from the side. You look for a sharp abdominal tuck. The stomach line should slope distinctly upward behind the ribs, not just hang parallel to the floor.
So catching a physical shift via these hands-on assessments, that allows you to intervene months before a digital scale would indicate a problem.
Absolute months.
It makes total sense. But the complication here, and this is a huge part of the deep dive, is that this target condition isn't a static goal. Like, the dog's body is constantly changing.
Oh, constantly.
So let's trace this nutritional life cycle, starting with puppies, because the transcript highlights a massive, counterintuitive mistake that almost everyone makes with young working dogs.
They really do. The puppy phase sets the foundation for the dog's entire life. And it is where the most permanent damage is done.
What are people getting wrong?
Well, when owners get a Malinois puppy, they see a creature that is wildly active, growing rapidly, and acting ravenously hungry all the time.
Right, they're like little piranhas.
Exactly. So the instinct is to feed it as much as it wants to fuel that growth spurt.
Which sounds completely logical. You want a big, strong, durable working dog, so you provide plenty of building materials.
It sounds logical, but feeding a hungry, growing puppy more food is actually detrimental.
Seriously, it's harmful.
It is incredibly harmful. Rapid growth in a large athletic breed is not a sign of success. When you overfeed a puppy, you accelerate the growth of their long bones.
Okay.
The problem is that the soft tissues, so the tendons, the ligaments, the cartilage, they do not grow at that same accelerated rate.
Ah. Oh, I see. It's like dropping a massive heavy V8 engine into a car chassis where the steel frame hasn't fully hardened yet.
Right.
The engine has the power and the weight, but the supporting structure is just going to warp under the load.
That is the perfect biological equivalent. The bones get longer and heavier too quickly, and the underdeveloped ligaments can't hold the joints tightly together.
That sounds painful.
It creates structural laxity. The joints get loose, they grind, and you are literally setting the stage for lifelong orthopedic issues like hip dysplasia.
Oh, man. So you are rotting the foundation before the house is completely built.
Exactly. What these dogs require is very slow, steady, paced growth. You want them lean while their growth plates close.
So then that puppy survives the slow growth phase, hopefully, and hits adolescence, the teenager phase.
Which brings a whole new set of metabolic challenges.
Right.
During adolescence, the skeleton is finishing setting. But suddenly the dog's brain matures enough to demand a real job.
They wake up mentally.
Yeah, their physical capacity skyrockets. This is when owners start intensifying their training, introducing jumps, and long-duration fetch.
So their caloric expenditure jumps up drastically, but their growth is actually slowing down.
Yes,
It's a massive transition phase where you really have to rely heavily on those weekly rib checks.
you do. And as they stabilize, they move into adulthood, which is the absolute peak of the matching problem.
Okay.
This is where the rule becomes ironclad. You must feed based on actual physical output, not breed identity.
Output, not identity. So what did this dog actually do this week? Not, I own a Belgian Malinois, therefore I feed working dog calories.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
An adult Malinois doing professional bite work, long-distance tracking, or high-level agility has entirely different metabolic demands than a Malinois who is a beloved family companion getting a standard daily walk and some fetch.
Right. Neither lifestyle is wrong, but feeding the companion dog the same high-fat, high-protein diet as the working dog is just a recipe for internal disaster.
Total disaster.
Which brings us to the final stage of the life cycle, the
Oh,
senior years.
Yeah, the hardest phase.
The transcript points out that this is often the most dangerous phase, primarily because it just sneaks up on people. We associate these dogs so deeply with explosive apex athleticism that we almost forget they are going to get old.
And that oversight causes immense quiet suffering.
How so?
Well, for 8 or 9 years, the owner is conditioned to feed an elite athlete. It becomes a deeply ingrained habit.
Right, you just scoop the same amount every morning.
Exactly. But as the dog ages, their cellular metabolism slows down, and their daily activity naturally declines. They sleep a little more, they run a little less.
And if the owner doesn't proactively reduce the food intake to match that decline, the dog slowly gains weight. But, why is a few extra pounds so uniquely devastating for a senior working dog?
A lot of older dogs get a little chunky, right?
It's devastating because of the miles on the odometer. A working breed has spent a decade engaging in high-impact, physically intense movement. Their joints, their cartilage, their spine, they have all taken a serious beating.
Right.
When you add extra unnecessary weight to vulnerable aging joints, you drastically accelerate arthritis. You actively destroy their mobility and their comfort in their final years.
So managing the sheer volume of calories across a lifetime is step one. But the source material pivots here to talk about maintaining the actual machinery of the dog.
Yes.
Fueling an elite body requires two vital elements that most owners apparently completely overlook.
Yeah.
And the first one is active muscle support.
Yeah, people assume that because a breed is naturally athletic, muscle mass just takes care of itself.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Muscle maintenance requires active, intentional support through appropriate, high-quality protein intake and consistent physical conditioning.
And this ties right back into the senior dogs, right? Because muscle isn't just about running fast, it serves an actual structural purpose.
It is their primary structural defense. Muscle acts as a biological shock absorber.
Okay.
When a dog walks or jumps, strong muscles absorb the kinetic energy of that movement. But as a dog ages and naturally loses muscle tone, that kinetic energy doesn't just disappear.
It has to go somewhere.
Exactly. If the muscle isn't there to absorb the impact, the force transfers directly into the cartilage and bone of the joint.
Wow. So if they lose muscle mass, even if their overall weight stays exactly the same on a digital scale, every single step they take hits their joints harder.
Yeah.
Their quality of life plummets because they literally lose their biological shock absorbers.
Which is exactly why maintaining an appropriate protein balance and keeping up with low-impact conditioning is so incredibly vital for seniors.
Now, the second forgotten nutrient here is one that honestly blew my mind a little bit because it seems so unbelievably basic.
Hydration.
Water.
It is the most frequently ignored aspect of canine nutrition, but it is the absolute cornerstone of metabolic function.
Right.
For a dog that works this hard, especially in warm weather, owners tend to think of water just as a way to cool the dog down.
Right. They pant, they get hot, you give them a drink so they don't overheat.
Yes, but the transcript says it goes way beyond temperature regulation. It impacts actual cellular recovery.
How does that work mechanically?
Well, water is the transport mechanism for the entire body. When a Malinois does intense sprint work or heavy training, their muscles produce metabolic waste, like lactic acid.
Oh, just like humans when we work out.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Proper hydration increases blood volume, which literally flushes that waste out of the muscle tissues.
Okay.
If a dog is even mildly dehydrated, their blood thickens. The heart has to work harder to pump it, oxygen delivery drops, and that lactic acid just sits in the tissue, causing severe cramping and really slowing down cellular repair.
Man. So inadequate hydration doesn't just make the dog thirsty, it literally suffocates the muscle cells and breaks down their physical recovery.
It really does.
You know, we would never expect a human triathlete to finish a grueling 10-mile run, walk into their kitchen, take a casual sip of water from a glass, and just call it a day.
No, never.
Human athletes have highly specific hydration strategies. They prehydrate, they manage electrolytes during the effort, and they have a strict post-workout recovery plan.
Yet we expect our working dogs to perform at the same elite level, and we treat their hydration as an afterthought. Just a stagnant bowl of water sitting by the back door.
Yeah.
Hydration has to be actively planned as an integral part of their exercise routine. You have to ensure they're taking in fluids before, during, and immediately after intense work.
Which introduces a recurring theme here, honestly. Structure. We are planning hydration, we are carefully monitoring body condition, we are adjusting for their life cycle.
Yes, structure is everything.
And this all points toward the final, crucial biological quirk of the Malinois discussed in the transcript, their absolute reliance on strict routine and consistency.
This breed thrives on predictability. It is wired deeply into their psychology and their physiology.
How deep are we talking?
Deep. Having consistent feeding times doesn't just regulate their digestive tract and their gut microbiome. It actively settles them mentally. It provides a structural anchor in an otherwise highly alert, highly reactive mind.
And what if an owner realizes they've been doing this wrong? Say they're listening right now, they realize they've been overfeeding their Malinois, and they want to switch to a leaner, higher quality diet immediately.
It cannot happen overnight.
Really?
No, the canine digestive tract is highly sensitive. Transitioning to a new food must happen gradually over a period of 5 to 7 days, slowly overlapping the old food with the new.
Okay, so take it slow.
Very slow. Sudden dietary shifts can cause severe gastrointestinal distress. And truly, any significant change to a working dog's diet or body condition goals should be discussed with a veterinarian who actually understands the biomechanics of working breeds.
Which brings us to the ultimate thesis of this entire deep dive. It's the great paradox of fueling a Belgian Malinois, and really any elite working dog.
The paradox.
Yeah. The paradox is this: more food does not equal more performance.
That is the most vital takeaway of the entire discussion. Owners want to support your dog.
Yeah.
They see their animal working hard, giving them everything they have in a training session.
Right.
And the human instinct is to reward that immense effort with a big meal.
But overfeeding does not add capacity to the engine.
It does not. You are not increasing their horsepower by giving them more fuel than they can burn. You are simply adding dead weight to the chassis.
Wow.
And that excess weight actively destroys the exact athleticism, speed, and endurance the owner is so desperately trying to support.
So when we try to reward a hardworking dog with an extra scoop of high-calorie food, we are literally working against their own biology.
Exactly.
We are taking the very physical qualities that make the breed remarkable, and we're just smothering them under excess strain.
Yes, True performance comes from proper conditioning, adequate physical recovery, deep mental engagement, and maintaining that ideal lean body condition. It never comes from an overflowing bowl.
It really requires a fundamental mindset shift. It's the difference between using food as an emotional reward for a job well done versus utilizing food as precise mechanical fuel.
And if you can make that mental shift, you will add years of healthy, pain-free mobility to your dog's life.
So if you're looking at your own dog right now, you have to realize that canine nutrition isn't a set it and forget it formula.
No, definitely not.
You don't just read the back of the kibble bag once when the dog is 2 years old and blindly follow that rule for the next decade. It is a continuous dynamic conversation.
A conversation between the dog's actual physical output,
Yeah.
your regular hands-on tactile body condition checks, and the evolving needs of their aging machinery.
It really leaves you with a thought that I want to pass on to you, the listener, something to mull over long after this deep dive is done.
Yeah.
We project so much of our own human emotional complexity onto our dogs. In our modern human lives, we use food as love, as comfort, as an apology, as a
We
celebration.
really do.
But if we project that emotional relationship with food onto a working animal that has been bred for centuries purely for mechanical efficiency, are we actually just projecting our own modern metabolic problems onto them?
It's a profound question. By loving them the way we love ourselves, we might be causing them the exact same harm.
It circles right back to where we started. You wouldn't pump jet fuel into a sports car that's just idling in the driveway no matter how much you love the car. Fuel the miles, not the driveway. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into canine nutrition. We'll catch you on the next one.